So I'm gonna be working on the Memory Extreme Demon again. The main thing I saw was a space part next, I'm pretty sure. So that's gonna be the plan here. First, I'm just gonna make sure that objects from the previous part don't like block the view of this part. Let's see, this time? Yeah, everything's gone. First of all, turn shaders off, just so I can get a clear view. A space background should be relatively easy to do. Very simple with particle triggers. If we use glow objects, make them really big, and give them like a very, very big space they can spawn in, you can already see some sort of effect popping up. Doesn't really look spacey yet, but just by turning up the emission and their lifetime, it creates this like cloud of particles. Now the main thing that creates this effect of like looking like space is using the object color of this so it's blue, but the special difference is every time one of these particles spawns, they're gonna have a tiny bit of a difference in hue. Also, they need to fade in and out so it isn't just like flickering. Oh yeah, that looks a whole lot better. I don't know what happened to these edit color triggers. I guess I must have accidentally deleted them. Yeah, so that is very, very simple, but gets the job done. So what I was thinking with this is because like the cover of the song is kind of like spacey with these like orange blocks to it, I'll do the same thing around here. I'll probably take a little bit of creative changes with this, just because I want this to appear more colorful and less dull than the original. Yeah, so that does look nice, but we do want this bottom part right here, this like base that goes around it, a different color so the blocks stand out from one another. Yeah, so that looks pretty nice, and against the background has a lot of contrast. I think it would be nice to just get like the full block design out of the way right here, right now, so I don't have to go back and figure out stuff like 3D lines later. So let's see, maybe something like 50% brightness could create some good depth. Yeah, like that. I think for now I could just create the spike design and then copy and paste this across the part. So the spike will be like same color design type of thing. -80 here, I think it was. Yeah, like that. Using this I can change the kind of like glow inside of the spike. And I won't want this like coloring to be as extreme as the blocks, but still noticeable. Yeah, like that. I will add more detailing onto this later with like background blocks and foreground blocks, or like background and foreground details on the blocks, but that's for a little bit later. When I'm copy and pasting these around, I'm noticing that the colors look pretty dull and samey because I'm using the same block for everything. So what I think I'll do is I'll make different groupings of blocks, like all the different structures have slightly different hues. When I was originally, like at the very beginning of copy and pasting these around, what I noticed was these spikes I created don't look good on the bottom of the blocks, so I'll probably create like a darker variation of them to go on the bottom of the blocks. So for this like under the block variation, I think something that could work pretty easily is have this glow be on the bottom so it looks like it's getting lighter the further down it goes, to create kind of like a shadow from the bottom of this effect. But then move these like heavily down in brightness. Yeah, so you see how it kind of looks like it's actually underneath the block. Yeah, so this does look very nice overall. I'm just gonna see now. I wonder what like that hue variation thing I was talking about would look like. So if I get 52 and move that maybe up a tiny bit like there, yeah, that could work. Except I wouldn't want it being too big of a difference. Yeah, something like that. Paste it and make it a little more on the yellow side. Yeah, that creates some basic variation, which I think could make the whole part just feel a little nicer. One thing I should probably do is get rid of these spikes on the top and bottom of the screen, just because they're getting in the way and I won't want to have them in the end anyways. Because I've decided that with this part, I don't want spikes on like the top and bottom of the screen. I want it to feel more open and spacey. Yeah, so with that variation, you can kind of see how that just creates some nicer looking blocks overall. Now the hard part of creating this, I'll have to go through each of these and check what groups these guys have, go over, and put them on these. What are these area triggers actually set to? 51, 37, and 36. So 51, 37, and 36 are going to be what I copy over to the other ones. Like for example, I give this guy 36, and it should have a different type of movement. You see how it kind of moves left when the player is moving. Alright, so finished pasting the groups over. I can see if they line up now, but I can also see how they look. So this does look actually really nice. Yeah, so I do really like that, and it all lines up. So now I can completely make all these half blocks and spikes invisible, just so they don't create like that weird funky white outline that you could see going through the last part. I think adding some like sort of like tech looking glitchy block for this section might look pretty nice. Using some animated blocks, I could create an effect that looks like it's kind of glitching out. Alright, so edit special, the starts of these will be randomized, and I feel like the speed could be a bit slower. Okay, that should be all of them properly grouped now. Yeah, that does look really, really nice. One thing for the background that would be nice is creating some stars. So I think that would be a good next step. What should I use for this? Probably these guys. So that does look good for the stars in the background. These up close ones are a bit big. That's a very easy fix. Yeah, that looks really nice. So let's see how it looks all together, though. I'd say this is actually surprisingly close to being finished after only like 30 minutes. I am liking how it looks. It's just, I do feel like it needs a bit more of a background and a bit more of a foreground. So I'll work on that right about now. I'm thinking of making rocks. One thing I like to do is use these like particle blocks. They're not actually particles, but they're what was added for this particle trigger, so that's why they call them that. To create some kind of like rocky structure. So I think I'm gonna do 3 like layers to this. This one like main, just kind of structuring it out layer. Let me get a different shape for this one. This kind of like backing layer. And then one that's kind of like highlights. So get this on the correct layering, which would be like B2. And let's give this a bit of movement to create that kind of parallax effect. I'm actually really happy with that, yeah. So next it would just be this section over here that I also want to finish because it's kind of in like it's like two parts in one basically. So I created blocks that match this weird shape. They don't look the best, but as long as they work, I think it's fine. So now I just need to give these the groupings of these, which it goes in a row until it reaches 47 and then goes back down until it reaches 38. So this one has 38, and then this next one right here is gonna have 39, and it just continues like that. Okay, so I finally got all of the blocks copy and pasted. This took like a whole 30 minutes because it's like rows of groups with these. It's kind of weird. So let's see how this looks. I really like this. Like way more than the other parts, I'd say, so far. It has like a whole lot more personality, I'd say. What I'm thinking of doing is I might just copy and paste these background details just over one. Let's see, does this work again? Yeah, it should be fine, I'd say. Maybe I could have stuff on like the bottom top of the screen, and it's kind of like you're actually entering like some sort of like structure. If that makes sense. That stands out way too much. Maybe changing it to a color that matches more with like the background can make this fit in better. Alright, so now this is kind of more like neutral. I think lowering the brightness a bit, having it a little less saturated, and more of like a deep blue type color would work good. So I might create some variation that I can put throughout this. Something nice where the main structure goes down and like a saw blade appears. Now what I'm gonna do is, using these same colors, I'm gonna add some varied spikes along this. So just kind of something like that. And now that I have that done, I was thinking, what if I created another layer of these? That does look good. I'll just speed through this now, so I can see if it stops off at the same point. Yeah, about. So that's good. I think I'm pretty happy with this, with how like this looked in the end. I might edit the colors on these guys a bit just to make it look a bit nicer, but other than that, I think this is fully done. Or I guess Pulses too. But that stuff can't really talk while doing, so I'll skip to the showcase.